Welcome to Referred, an FER podcast. Here today we have one of our premier partners, Pam Mason, out of Atlanta, Georgia. We're excited to have her here today. We've been working with her for nearly a decade. We've referred over 200 clients to her, and she has a ton of great experience in our network, working with our entire team and dozens, if not hundreds, of loan officers. So we're excited to share with you and enjoy.
You know, we can start with.
Let's talk a little bit about who Pam is in this service area a little bit. And maybe, Pam, do you want to give us a little intro about who you are, where you cover, what you do?
So I've been working with Veterans First, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, since the start of my real estate career back in 2014. I've got 30 years of retail sales experience. So it makes me sort of one of those people who's all over the place in the best kind of way. I have a tendency to, it's just kind of in me to help people. I used to work at a trust company called Reliance Trust, and I used to work dealing with self-directed brokerage accounts. So I have a master's degree in business, which helps me kind of understand the industry that we're in. But I've also worked for a couple of banks, but Reliance Trust Company was kind of a foundational place for me to just realize that I've got, some of my experiences in the banking industry and some of my experiences in sales. So it really, as becoming a real estate agent, was really kind of the perfect mashup for me. My husband has been a real estate agent. He also works with Veterans Trust, Veterans First, and Freedom Eagle. His name is Pam Mason. He's an agent as well. But Tom talked me into real estate in 2014. So it's been an uphill journey for me since then, because I get to apply my sales experience and what I know about the banking industry, and it's just the perfect match.
Was there any certain event or thing that made you shift industries and go, all right, I'm going to pull the trigger, I'm going to go get my license and dive into this?
I was really kind of exhausted, right? I was working a whole lot of hours, and, I was an assistant manager doing self-directed brokerage accounts, just managing a few people. But I was also driving like 2.5, 3 hours a day back and forth to a northern part of town. But the thing that really just drove me one day, I told my husband, I said, I'm interested in building something for myself. What do I do? What's the answer for me? How do I apply, the things that I know about myself, what I'm good at, and make something out of it? And he said, why don't you do real estate with me? I think you'd be great at that. So I said, okay. And the next thing I knew, guys, it was amazing, because on that Friday, he told me to do that. And on Monday, I put my notice in to my job. And 2 weeks later, the real estate class started on that exact date. So I knew then it was more than just kismet. It was really a sign for me, to just move forward. So I've been moving forward, chasing my dream and trusting my path since that time. And it has been nothing but amazing for me. So that's why I say, your partnership, the partnership I have with Veterans First, is not just a happenstance for me. It was destiny for me. So my loyalty, again, it runs very deep for you guys, because it was part of my journey.
That's amazing.
We're grateful to be a part of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we look back at the numbers, and Malone and I were talking about it. We've sent you over 200 referrals, close to over 60 of them so far. I think you're at 66 so far, and you have a lot going. I mean, you have a lot going on. It really is a testament. I sit here and I listen to you, and I listen to what goes on, and I'm seeing it, like, wow. Yeah. I mean, we watched it kind of materialize over, since 2014, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing to see what you've done and the passion you put into your, our clients and together, and to get these guys into houses and finding them something, sometimes the needle in the haystack,
Right.
And,
Very true.
it's not always easy. People don't think, oh, no, it's not. I mean, the market conditions and what's available at the time, and the guy's necessity and their time frames and where they are. And there's so many variables here, but Pam, you do an amazing job. You're one of the best we have in our network. I think I've told you that many a times, but
One thing I'll say is it's clear you've been good from the start, because we sent your first referral on August 7th, 2015, and you closed that referral 26 months later. The point is, your normal agent jumping into the business, that buyer would have been long gone.
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
months, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have lasted 2 years. They would have been, you know what I mean, 3-4 months maybe, and then they would have been long gone out of your pipe. But right out
Yeah.
of the gate, you got it, and you took care and you nurtured the clients and you work with them and you do it consistently. I mean, I watched you put deals under contract that you've had in your pipeline for months or years. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the best, is because you don't just turn and burn clients. You get a client, if they're not ready to buy right now, then you're not just burning them off. You take care of them. You give them what they need so that they can kind of, see what's on the market and realize what they can afford. And eventually you find them what they want and you put them into a place. If they can buy, so I think I always tell Jeremy, I know that when I give Pam a deal, or when we give Pam a deal, if they can buy a house, they're going to buy a house.
That's right. That's great. I appreciate that. I'm working with one right now, as a matter of fact. I don't want to say their name on the podcast, but I'm working with a client that I've had for a very long time. They don't leave me. They generally just don't leave me. I stay with them. I reach out to them. It's important to me. These things matter. They matter to people, right? And that's why we're all here. So if with my background, my sales experience, if I can't do the thing that I love the most, then why am I doing it, right? If I can't do it well, then why am I going to do it? So I do my best, and I appreciate you guys. I'm just in awe of being able to see you right now. I don't even know what to say.
It's great. We've been so excited to launch this. Relationships like the one we have with you, and we actually get to put a face to the name and get to know you better, and hope to do it again too, not just
absolutely.
And I mean, the market's constantly changing. It seems, I mean, especially Jeremy talk about now, like in the days of tech and everything going on, everything moves so fast and the market moves fast and things change so rapidly that, this isn't something where we can just get on once with an agent that we've worked with for a decade and then never talk to you again. It's something where, like, we want to hop on with you every so often and talk to you about your market and talk to you about your experience and obstacles that you're seeing in your market, in the current time. So like, that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you today. With the market shifting, like, we all saw it go insanely hot, and it was the biggest sellers market we've maybe ever seen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Now things are turning and people are paying closing costs. And I think, one obstacle, I assume, is the fact that sellers want more than they can for their homes. But in your market, what is a large obstacle, or the largest obstacle that you have to overcome?
So my primary business is really working with buyers, because I love that. I love the buyer's experience, right? And that's just me being honest about it. Listings are not as fun for me. There's not as much of a challenge in that. I like to hit the streets with my clients and actually get a feel for the road and for the neighborhoods and tell them about what's going on in the market. I'm fortunate though, because Georgia is one of those markets that's still booming. We've got Tyler Perry Studios, Screen Gem Studios, Trillet Studios, and there's a large entertainment industry down here, by the way. I know you guys may have been in entertainment, athletes and all that good stuff. I was in the music industry myself. So and I still keep my hand kind of on the pulse of it. I did some background vocals for some artists and that kind of thing. So I still kind of know what's going on in that industry. But I've been very lucky. We've got at least 12 Fortune 500 companies down here. We've got Home Depot, we've got Delta, we've got Coca-Cola, UPS. But again, the entertainment industry is here. So there are a lot of tax incentives to bring people to Georgia. So my buyers are coming from everywhere. So it really hasn't been that much of a challenge, other than the kind of market we've been in. There was the seller's market, and now we're kind of in the buyer's market, where I'm able to ask for closing costs, where I couldn't do that 5 months ago. Yeah. I am still encouraging my buyers to buy, because what we've got now is the wiggle room to negotiate. I try to establish trust very early with the buyer, because you've only got that 10-minute conversation, 15-minute conversation. Once I get the referral, I try to start talking to them about the culture of the market and establishing just some kind of a rapport with them, where once they hear my voice and they hear how passionate I am about what's going on in the industry, they kind of trust me enough to say, I'm going to pull the trigger on the first thing I see. Right. I've got a client like that right now who I showed him a brand new house and his wife was like, I think we should continue looking. I'm like, don't do that. Because what you're going to find is you're going to get priced out of the market because prices are still kind of gradually going up. We've stabilized a little bit, but they are gradually going up and you're going to find yourself priced out. Don't worry about the interest rate today. You can worry about the interest rate in 6 months, a year. If you can afford it today, get it today. So it really hasn't been much of a challenge for me. I think the biggest challenge has been to establish a rapport with the buyer when I meet them initially, right? It's got to be a quick interaction. Presentation is everything. And for listings, I do have a couple of listings coming up. I have talked to my clients about, be sure you're okay with listing your property now. You may not get the best value for it. You may be paying some closing costs. Do you want to do that now? So I'm honest with people. And I think that goes a long way, whether it's the listing side or the buyer side.
Yeah, no, it does. And that's kind of something we spoke about, you and I on the phone the other day, Pam. Your passion for these buyers, when you get them on the phone, I mean, think about it as a buyer, I'm talking to a loan officer and I'm exposing my financial information to somebody trying to get pre-qualified for a loan. And so I've put myself out there, and then I get a real estate agent that isn't passionate because I'm excited. I just got qualified. I'm excited. I have a piece of paper in my hand and I'm like, I'm pre-qualified and ready to go. And then I get an agent that's not as passionate as me. It doesn't match my energy or exceed my energy like Pam does. Pam is always a high energy. She comes at you and she's ready to help you. And that, I told her that the other day. I mean, I talked to her and I just said, Pam, your energy is just refreshing. It just makes everyone's day better. So Pam, thank you always. You always are.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'd like to say, I told you earlier, I'd like to say, I honestly, I pay people, but I don't. I just do good work, right? I do the best work I can with good partnerships like the one I have with Freedom Eagle. I can't tell you enough how great of an experience it's been to work with a lot of your agents, your loan officers who are they're not just people I know. A lot of them are like my buddies. I call and I say, hey, I've got a buyer for you this time. That comes with trusting the partnership, right? It's a bigger deal than just, the moment that we're in. I really do feel like Veterans First has been Freedom Eagle, my relationship with Freedom Eagle and Veterans First, the partnership has been fantastic and exceeded every expectation.
Awesome.
We appreciate the kind words too, Pam.
Yeah, absolutely. So any accolades we might be missing, Pam, that maybe we don't know about on the Freedom Eagle side? Anything that you want anyone else to know? Maybe if a buyer sees this video, I mean, go see Pam. You guys will get taken care of. Believe me, we've sent over 200 buyers to her. She takes care of you. So, but is there anything that we don't know, Pam? Maybe that is an interesting fact, like the music. That is amazing. I look at that now and that is amazing. So
yeah, well, I think the things that people don't always know is that I'm very passionate and very honest about what goes on in the market that we're in. I think there's some basic things about me that people never know. When clients meet me, they never know I sang in the music industry or I did background work with Toni Braxton on a CD of hers, Monica and Pink, and some of those other things that I've done. But these are flashes in time, right? You've only got so much time to establish relationships with people that, are getting a call from the lender and then just transferred over to you and they don't know you. Right. So I think something that I would like people to know about me is that I'm very honest. I listen to what people say. I ask clients, new buyers, for example, is there a dream house that you've seen that you can envision yourself in? What do the ceilings look like? What's your backyard look like? Do you have a 2-car garage? Do you have, what's in your dreamscape for your house, right? And I try to translate that. If you've got something you want me to see, send it to me. I try to translate that. So I think I have a superpower in that I can listen to people and really interpret what they say. And oftentimes I get it right.
I would agree. I would agree about that 100%. I mean, what you do is amazing. So, yeah, no, that's awesome.
Well, one question I wanted to ask you, and I've asked a couple other agents we've talked to, there's two of them actually, but the first one would be, do you have any particular favorite real estate story or transaction story? Maybe it's Freedom Eagle, maybe it's not. We'd love it if it's a Freedom Eagle client, but do you have any? It can just be a heartwarming story. It can be a funny story. What, I've heard some wild stuff, some from some of our agents. Some they probably wouldn't tell on a podcast, but I just like to ask because I know when you deal with a lot of people, you get some random stuff that happens. Some of it can be a pretty good story.
Well, so I've got one going right now. I can't think of anything that's been like shocking or really crazy, but I do have a story in particular with a client that's been a long-standing client of ours. And I'm actually closing a deal on them next month, but we've been working together a million years. So the husband talks really fast and he's like, oh, you're going to be able to get that done. And you're going to be able to talk about that. And you're going to be able to do that and that. And so I'm always like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm all over it. I've got you. I've got you. But we just found a home for them after a very long time. And the one thing that I noticed when we went to the home, it's almost 100 miles away. I actually went to the house.
Wow.
My husband and I drove up there. We've been driving up there with that veteran for quite some time, right? And the floors were just as wobbly as, I don't even know. It was like walking on water. It was a lake house. So the way that the deal was structured, I ended up negotiating the deal to get the floors leveled. And the agent just told me today, she was like, you know what? Nobody after 70 days on the market with this house, 30, 40 days, whatever it was on the house. She said, nobody has even asked if we could just do that. And because you asked, we're going to do it. It's going to cost $7,000 for the seller to do it. She said, but I told her, I said, I think it's absolutely worth it for your client if their goal is to sell the house to make it happen. Right. And she said, I couldn't agree with you more. She said, it was funny because she literally said, I want to thank you for just asking because I couldn't tell you to ask.
Yeah.
So, you have not because you asked not. So it's kind of a funny story about I have a tendency, guys, to just ask for everything. And if I get nothing, at least I asked for it.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that's why a lot of my clients are always on the praise report with me. It's just a funny thing. And I'm very grateful for that. I just have a tendency to know no fear, and I don't have any real barriers in terms of what I will say. That could be a bad thing. I guess my mother would say it's a bad thing.
You're protecting the clients. You're protecting the clients.
Absolutely. I'm trying to do my best for them. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best lesson you've learned being in real estate for the last 8 years?
I think the best thing that I've probably learned is something that was already rooted in me, and that was just being a good listener and an advocate. I can't express enough how important it's been to just be a friend sometimes. There are people who I've driven, miles and miles for who didn't have representation as a real estate agent, who have told me things about their personal life, their children, and, just things that have really hit me as an agent. You're not always an agent. Sometimes you're a friend, you're a counselor, you're so many things in this industry, and I get to be a part of something that is very rewarding. I have a professional love language, and this is the last thing I'll say because I'll talk you to death, by the way, in case you didn't notice.
That's why we're here.
But I have a professional love language, and that is, it's the 7 love languages, but my love language is acts of service. And it is the most rewarding thing that I could ever do to get someone in a home and to feel the gratitude from them. it really does matter to me. So I just live by it. Listening is the best thing to do, and to just go forward in the universe and just give back is the best thing we can give, especially to veterans who, they give everything to us. I'm not brave enough to do that.
Sure.
So I can't thank them enough. And every time I get to meet them, it's just truly an honor. And I want them to always have that VIP experience with me. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we all
I
got
agree.
into this and started doing this with Freedom Eagle. At one point in time, we were 100%. And, we structured that around making sure that the veterans were taken care of. Years ago when we started, we still apply this to our agents today, but we had this slogan, which was, and we would tell agents this when we signed them up, like, listen, we're going to send you clients that are pre-qualified for $100,000. We're going to send you clients that are pre-qualified for $800,000 and $1 million. We want every single one of those clients to be treated the same. We treated with kindness and respect. And we kind of set that expectation when we first started signing agents up, and you do exactly that, and that's what our veteran clients deserve. I mean,
Absolutely.
especially when they're going out and they're using VA benefits that they certainly earned. We feel like the least we can do is just give them our best shot to find a home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of them don't even know some of the benefits they have, right?
100%.
They really do rely on us to be the experts at everything, when it comes to buying a home. So I really have great admiration for the business that you took on in interest of veterans first, putting them at the forefront. And yet, even with that, you're evolving that to, you're moving that forward to something even, more marketable. We got, a bigger client base to get. So, I appreciate all of the work and time you guys have put into even building the business itself, because it's so big and it's
we couldn't do it without awesome agents like yourself. I mean, honestly, that's what makes us great. That's what makes our service great. And that's what allows us to walk into a lender's door and say, hey, we have something that can benefit you guys greatly.
yeah, yeah.
That doesn't cost you anything, but we've got a few thousand agents across the country and they're incredible. And just working with them it's gonna help you guys close more deals, and it's gonna keep your loan officers happy, and it's gonna streamline your processes because you have agents that are engaged and they're willing to help your clients out when you're chasing down that tax return and the agent goes,
Right.
I'll grab it and I'll take a picture of it. Don't worry about it. That's a Freedom Eagle agent that'll do that. That's not your regular agent off the street,
Yeah.
So those are the ones that are committed to the client, they're committed to the process, and that's you. So
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, guys. I really do. It's an honor to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
I only have one more question, Pam, and it's just any advice you'd have for a buyer coming to the Atlanta market. Obviously, I have advice for a buyer coming to the Atlanta market. Call Pam Mason. She'll take care of you.
That's right.
But any advice you have for a buyer that's coming to Atlanta, and what to prepare for, maybe, things to be ready for. I don't know. Any advice you have for them?
Yeah, buy now, because, even in this market where higher the price point, you can still get a new home at a pretty affordable price. There are markets that there are areas in town that I can't get people into, obviously, but then I ask them to think outside of this universe of this city, right? Let's see if we can go out just a little bit further and see if there's any opportunities for you there, because there are. Right. So now is not the time to be pondering whether or not to buy. I've got a veteran who recently, I got him into a new house, but like I said, his wife wanted to hold off. I said, don't hold off. Your interest rate will be something that will be normalizing. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. Buy now while the prices are good. The market is only going to get bigger, and there are going to be so many. There are going to be opportunities for you, but there are only so many. But that's the timing for me, right? I have to establish a level of trust with a guy who looked at his first house and put a contract on the very first house, and now we're going to close next month, right? That is a superpower, because people don't know me. They just got a referral from, Freedom Eagle, and, hey, you're just talking to me for the first time. I have to use that moment and take that opportunity to tell them, you're not in the market where you can think about this too long. At your number, you're going to have to make a decision. And he did.
I
Best
love it.
thing ever. He's very happy about it too. So
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. That would be the one big thing that I would tell clients: do not hesitate about buying. Don't. Your interest rate can always be you can always refinance, but buy now.
We talk about the kind of the raw numbers of just the generations of people that are coming into home buying age, and then the pace at which we can build houses
Right.
and we cannot keep up. And
Right.
you know, there's a large generation, the millennial generations, that are coming into home buying age. They're the biggest generation ever. So just the numbers just don't add up, regardless of where the economy is.
Yeah.
There's X amount of people and there's X amount of homes.
Right. That's
So
right.
people are, I mean,
Absolutely right.
people have to live somewhere. And so that's why, you know, we've been kind of saying, yeah, they can jack the interest rates up like they have, but there's still enough demand, and there's still enough qualified demand
Right.
that the
Yeah.
market's not tumbling. When, I mean, frankly, there's been points in time where rate increases like this would have crashed our market.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
there's too
Yeah.
much support. There's too big of a qualified buyer pool. They shaved some of the buyer pool down for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So got kind of knocked out, and people are definitely not, like I've been saying 1,000 times, you're not getting the house you wanted 12 months ago, but you're getting a house now. So
You are getting a house. In Georgia, there's, like I said, the market is booming here. There's the sky is the limit. There are so many people who are coming down south from California because they know they can make a killing on a house. They don't have to, you can buy a house and still have, a chunk of money to put into your retirement plan. So there's so many opportunities down here in Georgia. I always tell people, if there's a market to get you somewhere, let's get you somewhere. Let's get you in a home quickly.
I love it.
Well, that's great, Pam. We appreciate your time. And again, thank you so much for stopping by with us, giving us a few minutes, and we will 100% do this again. 1000%. We can book it right now. You are awesome.
I love it. I appreciate you guys. It is so good to see you.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk soon. I always want to touch on the summits we're going to be holding. Definitely Vegas 2024. We hope to see you there.
Nice.
We're excited about that. We're going to try and bring all of our lending partners, loan partners out, and then the premier partners and members. So, and then we're going to have some regional summits, if you will, in California. And then we're going to pick a couple other locations. So we'd love to have you out.
Well, this way I'll get some hugs and handshakes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's what we're
100%.
I look forward to it. Absolutely. Count me in.
Thank you so much for your time today, Pam.
You're so very welcome. Nice to meet you guys.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon via text.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.